Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? I hope great. Go ahead and bump up, get ready here. So this is going to be a very informal show this evening, as most of them are. Hopefully you didn't catch any echo off that. So what we're going to do tonight is our show title. We'll go ahead and put our show title back up on here. Dinoglyph Recon Shots Fired. So what that's in regard to is we got word from a friend, and we've heard about it for years, but a buddy of mine came up, he had heard about it from another source, about the location of a cave that had geoglyphs inside of dinosaurs. Or not geoglyphs, but petroglyphs inside of dinosaurs and men. And we've seen these things before, and we'll actually probably be bringing a few of those up this evening. But so this guy comes up, he's from Albuquerque, a great friend of mine, and he contacted me and said he had a new location that was a potential for these glyphs to be in. And so we arranged to meet up at the location, and it's a huge cave overhang type deal, and it fits some of the early description. They've seen these glyphs for generations now. But the location's basically almost been lost because those people now, the last ones that saw it when they were kids, are now 80, 85 years old. And they had seen it when they were going on these original wagon routes that turned into roads, which has now been rerouted with highways and things. So a lot of the accesses are blocked. So we're trying to track that down. And but on the way down there this evening, or this afternoon, we ended up being shot at. And it was pretty crazy. They didn't fire directly at us, but they certainly fired next to us. And just reviewing some of the video, I was actually looking at bullets flying around. And so I was just showing you a couple of pictures there. We'll go ahead and put those back up for you. These are is actually a couple of shots of the bullet coming in. So I can zoom this in for you a little bit, and we'll bring it up. But right here you can see in the frame that's an actual bullet in flight, and the trajectory shows the range. Of course, the bullet lobbed quite a bit. There's a white pickup sitting up here, and he's out the pickup here, and he fires across the canyon. It comes in and hits this rock face, and then you can see in the following picture here, then that same bullet is now here. Going directly over my head, and in the video the only thing I could edit, we're just gonna have to go right from raw file. That's why it's totally informal, because all this was shot today. It's still just raw in the files. We're just gonna open them up and go for it. And but I did pull the frames of this video here, and real quick in the last hour, I was doing that right until I just came on. I managed to slow down a couple versions of this so that we'll be able to see this bullet actually come in and ricochet off this rock and go right over my head. And when we get to play in the video, you'll hear just how many rounds were actually fired. It's pretty crazy. It really is. I wouldn't expect anything like that at anybody, not to open up at the level that they were opening up. It was pretty crazy. It was a little bit intimidating, but then again, at the same time, it's not like somebody's just going to pull over and murder you at distance. I mean, it happens, but we figured it was the landowner from the surrounding property, of course. And on this set here, on this road that you can see, we're actually on a utility easement that goes down for fiber optic, and it just happens to go by the area we wanted to examine. And also a lot of this land is state lease that these guys just kind of get a little brutal over. Or the other possibility is that it wasn't the landowner, and it was one of the powers that be, and would not be the first time being shot at or messed with doing this kind of work. Some of these sites, they don't want anyone on. Dinoglyphs may not be the only thing there. You could have advanced ancient technology like we've seen in the past, or other things, and these are kept as great secrets and can be defended heavily. And like I said, we've been shot at before, so you'll notice it's not a great surprise even this time. So I guess we can go ahead and find a way to get into this stuff. So we'll zip down and we'll pull up get a video to roll here for us here tonight. Now, anyone that's been here before has known we've been absolutely plagued at times with streaming issues and being kicked off, computers locking down, everything you can imagine. We've even had an odd voice pop in out of nowhere and with an expletive, cursing and saying, "I pushed the wrong button," and here's their voice. And I'm not sure who in the world has the ability to push a wrong button and come into your live stream before you start talking yourself. But it's happened, and I appreciate all the patience that you people have expressed in the past as complete failures have happened. We're upgrading everything trying to avoid this. We're running at 900 Mbps up, almost a gig upload through fiber optic right here from the desktop. We've got our sound and everything amped up. So you will notice that the player that I'm using, the AVS player, does tend to sketch a little bit if I have any screen over it. So that occurs at times. But yeah, we'll go ahead and just I think we'll start with Tara's camera, and then I'll go into my camera after this occurs. And like I said, I'm going to be fast forwarding through these files because they're probably not going to be in any kind of set. They've not been edited. You know how it is. There's always a lot of crazy filming and different things going on, cameras shaking and going in weird places and doing things. So you'll have to bear with that with me, and then and we'll get to this. So let me go ahead and get this fired up for us. Okay, like I said, this is coming off. This was actually recorded with one of our mini cameras that we sell. It's a pretty inexpensive camera for what they'll do, and it's running at 1080p right now. I've got the exposure jacked up because last time I used it, we were using it in real dark, real low light conditions, so I forgot to turn the exposure back down, so it's a little light blasted. And I don't know how loud this audio is going to be. We're going to turn everything up, but my camera's what I had my narrative audio on, and one of the switches got popped at one point here, and so I wasn't able to catch much audio, and so the only stuff's being grabbed through this little mini cam that Tara's carrying. I'm sure you can hear the shots and stuff. We'll see how much of the actual vocal audio and things we hear, and we'll just roll with it and see what we get. I'll try to turn it up here as high as we can get it on the system. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll try to get back over to the chat window and watch as we're doing this at times. I really have to play the media player up front though, or it could glitch, but we'll try. Let's go. And like I say, so like I say, I'll probably be I will probably be advancing in this video a little bit, and we'll go through because these are unedited to the max. I'm good.
Yeah.
Maybe they're
omens.
something else.
They're omens.
Look at these big-ass cliffs over here. This is some huge country. It goes on forever, too. Everyone thinks it's flat out here when you drive the freeway. That's not a good sign.
Someone obviously doesn't like us here.
Somebody's shooting.
Shooting at us? Get out of the way. Get down here.
Well, if we walk farther, they might get a little more upset. But yeah, somebody's piling off a whole bunch.
Well, don't be an open target.
There he is. I saw him.
Where is he?
See where that white truck is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching the white truck. Well, we didn't cross any fences. We didn't see no trespass. What?
It was all pushed down.
Oh, it's busted?
So
Oh, I didn't
see no trespassing.
I didn't see no sign.
So, yeah, I have a feeling he doesn't want us here.
Hold on a minute. He could yell from up there. Hopefully it's not some idiot just pulling off rounds thinking that he can from where he's at and just shooting indiscriminately.
I think this guy tried to get our attention. That's what
So I never counted the rounds in the first run here, and I give him a second to reload, and then we'll count some more. But one reason I pause it is I should have my cursor on the screen. It didn't include it. So, but behind my backpack there, just against the edge below the bushes on the wall, there, right there, there's a rock face, and that rock face is about 40 feet from me, or 30 feet, and that's what he's bouncing the shots off of here in a second. So he's actually firing that close to us, and one of them, yeah, just comes right off and goes directly over my head. Give me just a second here. I'm going to see if I can capture the cursor. Well, it's supposed to be capturing my cursor, so or maybe if I do this, there we go. So right here, you can see my cursor now. There's a bush sticking out. There's a rock right under it, and it's angled toward us. And that's the thing. Any idiot knows that even if you're going to shoot in warning shots, you don't do it in a zone where you're going to ricochet and hit people. But that rock comes directly across the canyon here, hits this face, and then goes zoom, probably within about a foot of the top of my head. And you can see it when I change cameras. I will go to the phone camera here in a minute, and I will let this play out. Like I said, I have no idea how many shots were fired during this event. Just there was quite a few right there, and but here's the thing: it's like if a guy wants you to come back up the road off his property, well then shoot once, shoot twice, get attention, and then hell, wave him off, yell some. But if you start off the thing by firing 10 rounds or more in succession from a high power, well, I'm not about to walk back up the road, because I don't know if you're just some idiot blowing rounds off from your pickup thinking that, oh, there's nobody anywhere, and you may not even be able to see us. And so what were we to do? It's not like we were just going to turn around and leave anyway. This is a utility easement for fiber optic cable that runs down, so as an access, we were at this point legal. But we'll go ahead and play this out, and maybe somebody go back through it and count and see how many shots were fired.
Okay, you reloaded. Come down here.
I don't have binoculars. I can't see.
No, I don't have very much kit.
But he ain't happy.
Great. Come over here, babe. Hey. Bob, get out of the way.
He shoots me, he's got a bigger problem than...
No, you come here.
Well, I'm not going to hide because then he's just going to get pissed if it is the guy that lives here. So I'll stand right here and where he can see me and he can shoot me. I don't think he's going to shoot me.
Well, why should it matter to him that we're down here? That's a curious thing.
Yeah, we're not doing anything.
So,
He hasn't got it properly marked, so you have to have it properly marked, period.
he's upset about us being here for some reason.
That ranch up there is a multi-million-dollar ranch. I'm sure they can afford to mark the property. So, what Bruce is commenting there, I don't know what you guys can hear. Let me go back over where I can see the chat here. I need to move things around just a little bit where I can get to everything. So what Bruce was just commenting on was, what possesses a man to go that far? People have said, oh, well, probably growing weed or something. No, I doubt it. The surrounding land around this area was generationally owned, and they didn't have a whole lot for generations. They were just ranchers. And then all of a sudden, it just went right off the tilt. So it's like Hollywood up there at this point. So they expanded and went bananas overnight. They may have found something, who knows? And that may be where this comes from. Was this valley is secretly known for a tremendous amount of treasure from thousands and thousands of years ago, all the way up into recent with the KGC and other groups. And so a lot of stuff hauled up by the Jesuits from the Aztec treasure caves and things. And so it is policed pretty heavy. Like I said, it certainly isn't the first time in life I've been shot at because of that. And but just many times we've been shot at on land that's state land, and they have maybe a grass lease on it, something like that. So it's not normally that big a deal. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take you into the actual my film from the camera that shows that bullet come in, and we'll take a quick look at that, and then we'll go on from there. But this way you can actually get see just how dangerous that is. And I know I'm just standing there like it's no big deal, but I mean, really, what are you going to do? We're totally exposed. I have my lady with me. I want the attention on me, not on her. She's in cover now, so I'm going to keep that attention focused on me. She hadn't been there. The situation, we may have even handled that situation a little differently, but I didn't have anything to return fire with anywhere at that point. So that's just kind of the way it goes. So let me go ahead and jump in here, and we'll take it up to the episode where the bullet comes in. And so here we go again with our cows. And this thing's playing a little sketchy, so let's see what we need to do here to make this right. I'll try to I'm going to try to do something to try to, we have plenty of memory running 12 gigs around, but this media player itself is kind of bad. I surfed a few of them, and I haven't been able to find a real good one yet that when I have several windows open wants to play specific types of files quick. So these came out as AVIs, and this player does not run them so well, but we're going to try. See if we can backing them up just a little bit helps. Sometimes it'll let it buffer. Yeah, I'm not real sure why it's playing like this. Again. See, we should be flying here as far as speed goes. And if anybody knows a good player that will work good when we're doing these streaming shows and stuff and interface well, go ahead and please let me know in the comments, because that'll really help us out. So it's about, I'm going to go ahead and go forward just a little bit here. It needs to play smooth, because you can actually watch the bullet come in. I mean, when we're playing the file, I could see the bullet come in and after the ricochet. But I know right where it is here, so I can definitely direct you, and you will see it. And this is some great country. I mean, this is really neat stuff. I'll give you some back history on it in just a minute. So we're looking at it's 133 right now. At 146, he's already shooting right now. So I don't know what else comes in during this time. But at 146, the round comes in that goes over my head. And that's going to be a 3, 2, 1. And to the left of the screen, there it goes right there. So I don't know if you got a chance to see that. We'll run it again here. Let's see. Okay, 3, 2, 1. And then it goes over on the left-hand side right there. Did you see that go by? Okay, that's running slow. It'll actually let us see the bullet itself. So that's the bullet after the ricochet. There it goes again. And so you can see that's a pretty dramatic thing to be happening, and everything. And so, and who knew? You know, I didn't know it was that close. And but here, let's run through this little segment. We'll see how this plays here. So AVS is not the best stuff, by the way, although this one's playing better. So in this, you're going to see the same clip come in. This has been cut, of course, to where it's a little closer to the event. And you'll see Tara go under me, the bullets start flying. She goes under me for cover. And they'll come in. And here in a minute, we'll see, of course, that round bounce off. And you know, you heard it. There's boom, 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 going off, you know, as I'm, you know, filming this. And what you've got is up here is a white pickup. And he's sitting right there. And then it's a white crew cab or extra cab pickup, which is, I mean, the most common rancher truck on the planet. So usually Fords, 250s, or 350s. These guys probably. There it goes. The round just went by. Now, these are a couple editions. These are going to be slowed down. And this is at 3/4 speed. And if you watch right over here, there it goes again. There's the round go by. Then we're going to slow down to 50% speed. Watch over here. It'll come off of this rock face and rise up just over me there. Right there's that bullet. And then we're going to break it down to about 1/4 speed. And it's going to run again here. And you're going to see, if you look at the right time, you may see it come in at an arc here. But so I guess the last one was 1/4 speed. But this is the bullet in the air. Let's go ahead and back that up a second. Like I showed before. You can get a better clue if it'll cooperate for me. Okay, so you can see this is the actual bullet flying in the air and trajectory, and then hits that rock face right there, and then comes off. So, and then we're right here, and yeah, that just goes. That's the size of a bullet. So I mean, you can see how big it was in the frame. That thing just goes over my head. Now, since the narration didn't take when we were out on this camera, and there is part I'll show you, I'll play for you that was sampled with the gear I'm running, because it's the same stuff we use on our parabolic dish. And right now I've got it interfaced to the phone and connected to a gimbal. And I wish this would play a little smoother for us. And anyway, and the audio is really excellent. And the part about, I'm going to go forward just a minute and see here. Let me start going back down the hill. So that audio quit. So the thing about this valley that I'm explaining as I walk down here, and we may go on to our next video, is that this valley was basically abandoned. Well, there's something right there. Boy, oh boy. There's probably another one going by. So this valley was basically abandoned for about 9,000 years. And so since the Paleolithic periods and before, all that areas, back to the early Clovis, were here. Even when the Mammoth were here, we have the Blackwater Draw kill site, which is a mammoth kill site where they killed and processed mammoths. And we have that south about, as a crow flies, about 65, 70 miles. And let's go grab another file here. And that site is 8 or 9, 10,000 years old, something like that. And they were actually killing and slaughtering the mammoths. And as they did that, they deposited the bones in a big pile and had all the marks and left tools and everything, and they found those together. Well, we find glyphs out here, glyph panels with mammoths on them. And so that tells us, the approximate age of these things that are coming up. And on these same glyph panels, like I said, are all this other crazy stuff. And so this valley itself is the land of enchantment. This valley is extremely special, and it's about 70 miles by 70 miles, something like that. And the Apache that talked to me about it told me that this whole valley was off limits for the entire time in their history. It was the Devil's Burial Ground and home of the Little People, and where Medicine Rock was, which is a big red mesa, and it's all legendary and a lot of myth and Native American folklore. And so home of the Little People, they said that if you went there, especially to Medicine Rock, you wouldn't come back. The Little People would take you. And that there was also giants and all this other stuff, and monsters and magic and things. It was, this whole valley was feared. And so they just stayed out of it, basically like the Apache and the Apache elders said, it was just completely off limits. So you don't find any habitation or artifacts or anything that are within that period. You find them, pre 8,500 or 9,000 years old, and then up about 150 years old. So in the basically the domestic period, the period since white man's been running around, and non-traditional natives and other people that knew how to nap and live that way, and you still find those kind of things. So all these glyph panels that we find, are super, super ancient, and all the sites are super ancient, and they're all megalithic monumented, and a lot of stuff buried. But we'll cruise on in here now, and we'll see how this plays for us, hopefully, and I'll show you basically the area where our target was. Oh, come on, you can play smooth. Well, it should be. So I tried to use Windows Media Player for this, and it was non-discoverable by the streaming program. It showed a window, but it wouldn't actually bring up video. And then I've tried a couple other ones, and I've got to go find, like I said, find one that'll do this smooth. And I've got plenty of RAM. I can't imagine needing any more than 12 gigs free. So I mean, you can do this with a phone. 2 gigs of RAM. So I think it's just the AVS player, because when I do run the software, and I can run even just Windows Media Player over next to it, it'll just sit and run smooth. But I can't get it to interface with our streaming software, the OSB stuff. This is a pretty good sandstone cliff, different layers of hardness in the sandstone. Go ahead and go forward just a little bit. And we'll just take a quick look through this camera. We'll see if the files that I pulled off Tara's camera will work any better. So yeah, so this, what we see in the background back here, let me get this back up. What we see in the background back here is a huge overhang, and it's really big. This is a bridge of probably 150 feet is a free span there, and a little difficult to get up in. And just go ahead and zip up here a little more. See if we can't get a look anyway. So like I said, I think if I'd have processed all of this, might have played in a little bit better. It wouldn't have been in these raw file formats. I could have processed it so it would have played a little faster for us. Okay, we would probably just go on and get to the next file here. Sorry about the play quality. There's not much I can do about it. Still beautiful, even if it's flashy. And it doesn't look like we're losing too many frames. Now let's go ahead and grab another cut here. So I didn't realize, I'm just now looking at the live stream, it actually says that we're not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. And not sure really how this happens. This is it's pretty unusual. Looks like it's going better now. It's pretty unusual though, because I mean, like I said, we're running what they claim is the fastest speeds in the United States. So is a gig up, and we're running 900 Mbps, something like that, through an Ethernet cable to the fiber optic. So we should absolutely be ripping this. Not really sure why it's lagged so much. I think they just throttle us down, to be honest with you. It's unbelievable. So I'm gonna touch base. Let's see. Let me check out the chat real quick here. Oh my gosh, you guys have been busy. Oh, those caves. Oh yeah, wait till you see. It's gonna get better. Oh good. Yeah, Jesse Hollenbeck. Excellent. Nesado, Christina, hi. Big-headed Martian, good to see you. All right. Looks like we're missing a few of our regulars. They must not have seen we're doing our thing this evening. Ramil Acosta, good to see you. One-Eyed Mike, good to see you. Yeah, One-Eyed Mike, I do believe scientific dating is accurate. So, absolutely. And most of the stuff we look at, it goes both ways. So you can interpret something one way or another, but I believe in raw data is accurate. But then what you find is people say, oh, well, that data must be skewed, and here's why, because they shouldn't have been able to do that. And that's where we get a lot of our what we call scientific data literally comes from somebody's opinion of what should or should not exist, and they do that continually. So I don't go for that. Lily Simmons, thank you. Yeah, like I said, we're about as informal as it gets. We're going to try real hard to pop it back off here. I'm letting things mellow out. Maybe the player will run a little bit better. I'm not sure. I don't see anything running in the background, so we'll get these things hammered out eventually. We've got a long way to go yet. So let's go ahead and I'll bring up another of mine with no audio. And then Tara's camera ran audio the whole time, so we're also going to bring that one up. So let me get through this and not hold you guys back anymore, and we'll see how this rips. So it's not a good commercial for AVS. If they didn't suck, then it would be. Oh, there's my informal kitty. Hi, informal kitty. That's Topaz, by the way. Oh, well, that's Topaz, by the way. Get out of here. Go. Thank you. Little nut. So, and just about all the equipment we're using in the field too. This is the first run on all kinds of stuff. So we're having a little technical difficulty with cables and whatnot. There's Tara about to negotiate these boulders. And it's funny because this country, everything looks small and it looks smooth, basically. And when you get into it, everything is gargantuan. So, but even from all the highways, all the roads are where it's smooth, basically. So you're looking a mile to everything or 2 miles, and the air's clear. And so your brain doesn't recognize the scale about what you're going to go to. It just looks like a normal hill with 3-foot rocks and 4-foot bushes or whatever. And you know, you get it, you just go up into it, and all of a sudden it's as big as houses and cars and trucks, and now you're just basically a tiny creature crawling within it. Wow, I have no idea why it's playing like this. It should catch up to itself and just play. I don't understand. Certainly not because of RAM. I don't know enough about streaming. Anyone has any ideas, please let me know, and I'll read back through the comments. Hi, Kitty. I'll read back through the comments and stuff later, and I'll see. But if anyone has any ideas, like maybe I'm trying to stream too much speed, or I have some settings off that I need to check or something, if you can get on that. Now you can see how vaulted this thing is, and it's truly massive. It's pretty unbelievable to be in here and check it out, especially once you get inside and get behind, because it's a big natural arch, and from the outside it just looks like an overhang, and then you get up and it's all hollow behind it. And now when I looked and reviewed the video, I see an area. Sorry, I'm trying to keep the cat down off the stuff. So I see an area though at the back of the arch that is a cliff behind the false arch, and you'll probably notice that. So right where it is here and then straight up is a big area, and I would like to, up there above that cliff there, that would be interesting to check up in there and see what might be up in here as far as entrance or anything weird, because something like this is going to be noticed and seen by everybody for thousands of years. So and my cat is being rather ruthless. Isn't that great? Get out of here. Go on. Yeah, so there's Bruce. You're being a nut. Get out of here, crazy. What is your problem? I sure hope the other file format that came off the other camera plays a little better. This is a better camera overall. That's on this. I'm having to use a phone right now on this until I get our other cameras put together. It does a pretty outstanding job. Just the playback is really frustrating. Let's try one more here and see what happens. Well, it says we've got an excellent connection. Everything should be ripping. You can playback speed on the original file, Big-Headed Martian, because it should be, you can't adjust the playback speed on this player, so. Yeah, it is truly massive. It's pretty unbelievable. I'm going to go forward just a little bit. It's truly frustrating too. Yeah, this part is weird. This is a great part of the canyon for concealment and stuff. And like I said, it's just something that you'd notice. You could draw it on a map or point it out to anybody. And of course, not the wall. And if I had cut and clipped all this, but I wanted to go ahead and just get it out today. And I'll try to solve this issue with this playback like this for you guys in the near future as soon as possible. Cat, you're crazy. You need your own spot. That's all there is to that. You're going to jerk everything right out of there. There's Bruce trying to get up in there. Yeah, and it's a whole new experience having a gimbal, 2-pound gimbal and microphone and all that stuff on you while cat hair while you're trying to climb through these caves. Pretty incredible. Yeah, so it might even come up on the screen here, but yeah, there's not really a way to adjust the speed on the playback. They won't give you a selection. So, but yeah, it is a massive area back in there that you just wouldn't have a clue it's there. You know, people are tiny in the picture basically. That's why I say it's so hard to get scale off any of this stuff. But since this is so flashy, maybe we'll just zip over to the other files and see if they don't play just a little bit better. So let's go ahead and kill that. We'll go back into Tara's camera here, and we'll see where we can start off. And I really appreciate everybody being here. Once we get done going through this video, we're going to this AVI stuff plays real smooth. Or this
Don't
is
be an open target.
okay. So as soon as we get done reviewing some of this video stuff, we'll actually, since we didn't find any dinosaur glyphs on this deal, we'll take you and show you dinosaur glyphs we have found in the past. And we have at several locations, even hundreds and hundreds of miles apart. I've seen them in 3 states now. So let's go up here and see where we end up on this file. I'm just going to let you guys watch, and we'll just surf this whole thing together if you guys want. I think that's cool. I don't mind. I mean, of course, you know, they always edit video because who knows what you do in a video, but I don't really care. So. Uh-oh, hold on.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to leave. No problem. They said I didn't see a fence here, not a fence fence. I didn't see no trespassing sign anywhere. Let's mark the property before we close. I realize it's pretty impressive property. 8 feet. Pretty nice. And ignore the timestamp. It's obviously the 3rd, and but it's because that the 12 basically point is off, so we're 12 hours off. So instead of AM, it's showing PM. But I know people will notice that, so just ignore.
Yeah, this is public right away. Anyway, this here right here, this is a right of way. This isn't his property.
Let me see your phone, Rob. I can get some pics.
My phone isn't.
Oh.
Here's Steve.
That's a big arc separated at the back. Yeah, that's hellacious.
Well, that's really big.
Yeah, I don't know which side of the rock pile. I think go up this rock face right here, you know. Bill, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. We've had our issues this evening already. We're getting really sketchy video playback on some of it. Some of it's working out really good. It's really good to see you, though. Thank you for showing up, brother. And we shall continue here. Like I said, I'm going to be pulling some really cool files later. Different dinosaur glyphs from other locations. We'll try to get through this as quick as we can. Now this would have been the place for outrageous glyph panels, especially back up in here to the upper right where I've got my cursor, you know, in behind something that's not gonna erode away. And the main cliff will continue to fracture and break, but out here it'll begin to stabilize because no more water can leak through it to break it up. So you'll end up with a giant stone arch here eventually and no cliff behind it, which is why it's open to the sky in behind this giant arch. How you doing, Mark? Good to see you, brother. See, there you go. That's that skylight, and this is a huge. So this is a giant self-standing front here. But if they were in here, we should have been able to spot them, and we certainly didn't see them on this deal. So we're gonna have to eliminate this site. Yeah, Bill, it is. Huh? It's crazy. You're going to have to go back, Bill, and check out the guy blasting away rounds at us. And we did some slow-mo and stuff. I actually caught a bullet in the air. The Ricochet coming off a rock. We see it before it hits, and then you catch it off a rock, and it goes probably a foot over my head. So I don't know how many of the other rounds did. There was a lot of rounds. I know the dude blew at least $40 on rounds. Nicoletta Trumpy Bear, hello. You saw 19? Yeah, I figured it was been guessing 20. Looked like something was moving along the ridgeline. Could have been trees. Lila, you should let me know where you saw that. Maybe later you can go back through the video and get a time on that for me so I know when and where to look. And I'll check that out. It's funny, these are the same size video files coming from basically this little camera and my phone, and this will go ahead and play. It's a little flashy. Let me move up here. We'll try to get through this a little quicker so we can get into some files. So now we're behind the arch feature. And this is where I guess there should be, if there's a panel, it should be on the back of this arch. Because like I said, that's not going to erode off anymore. You can see that's pretty well stabilized now. Thank you, Lila. Yeah, the scale is gnarly, huh? And this country's full of it, and nobody knows it. And it just goes on and on and on. You could explore canyons here forever. And a single ranch can be 30 miles by 30 miles. So you can't imagine how much unexplored there is. Because, you know, some of these go back to the Spanish land grant, and then of course, look at that span. Isn't that incredible? But some of these go back to Spanish land grant stuff, and then generational families just after that, the whiter families and the cowboys and things, and came in and developed these huge ranches. and they pretty well held that way. So like the famous Bell Ranch and a few others. And it's pretty crazy what's tucked away, and most of them don't have a clue, and no one's ever looked, no one's ever researched it, and it's the most amazing stuff we've ever seen. Of course, we found advanced ancient tech that'll burn up your laptop and your phone and car and everything else if you get too close to the source of some of this. So it's pretty crazy. What was going on thousands of years ago wasn't what everybody thinks it is, you know. And we found indirect and even some direct evidence that there was not just high technology, may not have been ours, might have been ours, but technology so extreme that, you know, we would see it as magic, but still tech. Like they vaporized the dinosaurs. We'll show you glyphs where that's what we're actually seeing in the glyph set is a craft, you know, annihilating a dinosaur, basically. We'll have to search through a few files to get it, but well, that was a pretty good view of that room there. Slip in behind me. Yeah, the scale is truly massive. It is really cool. And I'll be showing a lot more places like this and places even more massive. So as you guys make sure to keep up with this. Try to help get word out, you know. Still, we're slammed, being blocked and knocked off continually. It's unbelievable. So they're removing comments. We can see that they remove them. A lot of times we can't see what they are, but and subscribers even will gain 5, and they'll remove 3 or 4. And it's YouTube doing it. You know, they remove comments, likes. It's really funny. You know, people aren't surfing back and like removing their like, you know, after they've already liked your video. So.
These tiny little bones.
Yeah, rats.
Rats. Yeah, matter of fact, you mentioned Sumerian. One of the sites I'm going to show you here in a minute is it's a story, and they tell of these guys that showed up, and the symbol is the rod with the wings and the disc. Same thing as ancient Sumeria or all that, and they showed up in a domed craft, and then it goes through this whole event sequence, and there are what appear to be tombs there, and they're marked as like the pilot and co-pilot or whatever of this craft, and it's a whole sequence of events, and it shows them eventually being eaten by big raptors, whether it's an Allosaurus or whatever. So we just checked one more place basically, and that's up here on the right. We'll just zip through here. And I'll tell you, running around this big rock, it's pretty crazy. You get used to it after a while, but yeah, we seldom do trails, and you can kind of see why, because there isn't any. Well, that's a horrible story. So I'm going to see if this one little clip here will play. This is a clip once I finally realized that the switch had got thrown on my audio unit, and this is what we were actually picking up on the phone, or supposed to, is the audio for this whole thing. And if it will play.
Okay, well, this whole time I've been recording.
Oops.
And thought the audio was working. And a little retain strap I had on it.
Okay. That doesn't sound like that one's going to work. We'll just do the last cut. But you can hear the difference in audio and how clear that was. That's actually a mic on my phone, like 3 feet from my face, at my arm's reach. That's what we include with our parabolic unit. So, and I can give some people some information about that if they're curious. It's just excellent field audio recording stuff. So we'll see if this one will play, and if not, we're going to go on to some files and start showing locations, I think. And this one as well, this is just basically an audio demonstration, but sorry guys, what a shame about that player. Okay, let's just go get into it. Let me take a look at my chat here while we're not running. Ramila Costa, thanks, brother. Main event, excellent. Well, I appreciate it. And we'll get better and better. We will get all these technical issues figured out eventually, and I really appreciate everybody hanging out while we do this, because it really helps me. And I appreciate shares or anything you can give like that. And it's not because we're trying to get views. I don't care. The more and more we're going to start putting out, and the better this stuff gets, then I will put out better information. And the reason is because it needs to go out with high quality and coherently, and it needs to go out to a lot of people, because we're getting knocked sideways on trying to release any of this stuff to you guys. Yeah, very similar to Moab. It's just funny because it's just no one knows it's here, which is really, that's crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to zip into some other files here. So let's see, where do we go? Oh boy, we have so many to choose from here. Let's see if we can find let's see. Sorry about the time, you guys, and the silence. I know you guys are really being patient and watching. I'm reading through files here, trying to pull up some of the stuff that has to do just with what we've been talking about. And I will be able to find it. I think I have so many files. I've got about 2 terabytes, probably. Something like that so far. So I'm going to see what I've got in this one. Those are alien artifacts. We'll probably show those sometime. Pretty crazy. Well, we should have Devil's Trove. Boy, sorry about this. There we go. So this is one that was this is just one of the weird ones that's out here that I'm going to let you look at a few of these pictures and kind of point something out, because this panel has a mammoth on it, and it shows a strange, what you call reptoid being or whatever. And this is the first place we went and looked for the same dinosaur glyph that we had there. And so as soon as I pull up the best panel shots here, I'll bring them up. And these are megalithic monumented sites. I'll as soon as I get the panels, I'll go ahead and show you some of that as well. And And these sites were built, like I said, if they've got a mammoth on them, somebody was doing megalithic building of sites in a day when there was mammoth, you know. And so when we look at these megaliths and stuff, and we wonder, oh yeah, you know, how old is Göbekli Tepe and all these other places? Well, this is the tip of the iceberg, basically, for who did this stuff, and no one knows who did it. Now everyone's wondering, you know. And so basically, this is a photo. We got our photos to run up here. If it opens. So this is a glyph panel at one of these areas, and what you'll notice is, you know, you can recognize. Let's make sure our cursor shows up. You could recognize, of course, this animal here. I'm sure that's a white-tailed deer, and then you have men, and they are holding a rod and a rod. Some are bows, but these are staffs or spears. But the interesting thing is that they're drawing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes, and they're taking the time to draw in the toes. Not on everybody, but they're telling you this is a man. Okay, so as we progress through here, there's some, of course, these are more deer, and they've got the antlers on them. And you have a couple of crosses, which is really, really interesting. And that's not the picture. And we'll move up. Then you have this other character who's opposite the man. And most of these photos, or most of what we have, is in video. And but this is him. And so but you can see how he's drawn with 3 toes. And this whole glyph panel is it has a big scene where it's half these guys and it's half people. And you can notice, we have an even better little shot here. We can notice, let's see how this comes up. You can notice the shape. I mean, the shape. The other people look like people, even though they're stick figures. They're still stick figures of people, obviously. And what we see on this is this doesn't look like a stick figure of a people. This looks like dinosauric. It looks, you know, reptilian or reptoid. Now 3 toes is going to be a dinosaur. I mean, if that's the lineage that it comes down from, that's the similarity with birds. Same thing. And if you look at this with the long, slender neck and the shape of the head and what's referred to as the eye here, he also holds a rod, and his arm is in a cocked position, but it's not a drawn back bow for sure. But the interesting thing, and if I can find a good complete glyph panel photo, everything was on video when we did this. I know we took good pictures somewhere. Let's go to a whole nother day up there and see what we have for the panel here. So this is actually at night, and you'll see the same character here, and then you'll see another one. See, this is another one of those characters, and his head looks similar. It's not a fluke. Same pose, 3 toes, and they're even drawing the deer pretty accurately here with the antlers and stuff. And then here's another 3-toed character above him, if you see. And then oh, but actually that's a mammoth. So these are the 4 clubbed feet here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is a large body, and then the head and trunk go down. And so in his hump, his back goes like this. So it goes up and has a hump up his back, and then his head, and then his trunk's drawn in. Now it's super old, and we may have better shots of it. But that's the actual mammoth off the panel. This is I don't know if this picture is going to show it well, but this is one of our craft basically, and this is in part of the panel where it begins to tell a story again. This is a tough one to see, but this is basically a raptor, dinosaur raptor, and this is the head section, the body, which you can clearly make out's the right shape, and then the 2 legs, and always holding the tail basically very erect. In a stiff position to the body, and that's something that a lot of people didn't really get for a long time. And so here you can see this is actually a craft in the sky. Like I said, these are at night with a flashlight. So, and these are beams or rays, and then there's dots. There's a squiggly carved sets of dots that go all the way from this object in the sky all the way down and hit the dinosaur looking creature here that's standing with this tail and head. Matter of fact, if I was to throw a raptor photo over this, He's the same shape identically as a big raptor, which is interesting. Like I said, these were shot pretty impromptu at night. And there's my love. This is another location up there. And some of the stuff that's up there is actually, you know, there's a stone pyramid and some other really outrageous things that go along with this. So when we see these areas with these weird beings, it's like I've been told by some old lab guys and some others that, you know, these are off-worlders. That a lot of these monuments that we end up finding and seeing are not from humans, that they're actually off-world construction. And one of them that's really cool, and like I said, so all this is impromptu, so we can just hit the files. One of these is really cool. This isn't actually a turtle, and that this is a leg, and this is a leg, and this is the head and the shell naturally. And this is a box turtle, basically. It's got an eye and everything. And what's interesting here is you have these three red balls in 4 holes. Okay, and they're kind of a concretion ball put in these holes. And down here you have a matching thing, 4 red iron stains with one here missing, one here missing. And to mirror that in 2 separate layers, top and bottom of each other, it's the stats against that are astronomical. So I mean that's a structured thing we're looking at. That somebody actually conceived, and this as well as that same turtle looking through a gap to spot him. And these monuments are odd. They consist of a lot of perspective. So if angular shots, if you get in the right perspective, you can see something. If you can't, you won't. And if you go get a picture of a box turtle, you'll even see that even the scaling on the leg is just like the scaling on the leg of a box turtle, which is really odd. And so they use animals a lot in doing their sets and doing all the stuff they do, and then they use a lot of their forms. Now we do have a video out that has all this in it, and you guys may have seen it, and you may not. It's on our YouTube channel. You can surf around and take a look, see if you can find that. And but the monumentation that goes along with it is what's probably the most important. Somewhere here, we'll see if we have, yeah, there we go. So the megalithic stuff is I'll give you some dramatic examples of this. And this all goes with the men and dinosaurs, because this site as well has physical things like that. So this is a set that was constructed. And you can see this is a huge cube. And stuff doesn't erode like that here. This is what it erodes like up top. And this plate was drug over and put on top on these little pedestals on this big cube. And each one of these monuments have specific meanings. And then, of course, here's the same set with the turtle past what we call a little gateway or whatever. This pass through here, these standing stones. So they also don't stand up on their own. And you can see how that works out. So it shows you the turtle. It exaggerates the turtle. And you can kind of see how that's put together. And then what it all leads up to when you follow that trail all the way to the end some is this. And then you're supposed to measure from here. So this stone pyramid, it's about 4 feet tall. So it's really impressive actually to stand next to it because it's cut so beautifully. But this stone pyramid is where this trail leads to. And you could follow it. I mean, you don't have to see the pyramid. You're going to end up to it. So, and then you'd take a measurement off this point, but there'd probably be no more monuments off this point for whatever they're going to show you. And I keep showing that because these things were actually literally from days when the people were scribing what looks like dinosaurs on the rock. And we're gonna go in and try to get back to some of those here. Oh, I remember the name of the site. Let's see, CN. Let's see. I might have to pull it up here. There we go. Okay, so let's see what we got here. These pictures load. So this is another site with called that has, this is the one that looks like the 2 pilots that came and crashed and did all their deal. And okay, not those. I've got a lot on this site actually, so I'm gonna go ahead and find the best stuff. So the stuff that's here is it's extremely ancient. It's got quite a bit of glyphing and stuff, and there's a lot of deals, and it was put in a way that tells an entire story. Basically, as you move around this big circle, it tells the story about how these guys showed up and what they were doing to the dinosaurs and things. And what I'm going to just go ahead and show right off the bat, just to is a picture of let's see if this is a big one. We have a better shot of this actually. So these photos were straight off of a reel, so I'm gonna have them to pull them file by file. We have hundreds of them here, and we'll get through them. So this is another raptor until I can pull up the one we just looked at. So here's another raptor here. So I mean, it's not hard to ID. Any paleontologist, if you drew this form on a paper, would automatically see the same thing. He'd say, oh yeah, well that's one of the big raptors. The erect tail, the head bent, and the body position doesn't change a lot. And you might say bird or whatever, but bird don't have thick legs to the body, heavy thick legs, and a head this size. So if you overlay this image onto a raptor image, it's gonna match. And of course you're gonna see the same thing in this one. No, that's another small version of it. Gotta have a big version here somewhere. He's all say received. Okay, so let's get this. So this is actually the picture that's pretty odd. And you're going to see some forms appear to the left that are very odd. I mean, this is basically like a lightning bolt with a rattle. You'd say snake, but it's in an upright position, and then so it means death. And then you have here what looks like a bomb. I mean, just straight up. Then you have an identity of somebody, and you have a pole with several segments in it. And below this is actually in front of one of the tomb sets. Below this you have these guys, and you can see they're basically a large raptor like an Allosaurus, and the whole 9 yards. It's certainly not a bird. It's got little front arms on him, and he has what looks like a man hanging out of his mouth. It looks like you've got arms holding onto his arms. You got the guy's feet, and he's hanging out of the raptor's mouth. And you can see just how detailed it is. And it looks like the same thing here. You've got another smaller raptor with more claw-like feet than the big stump feet. And then you've got, where he's got the legs and arms of a guy in his mouth. And it's certainly not, I mean, they draw deer, they draw dogs, they draw turtles, they draw birds, they draw everything, and they do a beautiful job of it. And here they've done a couple of large raptors. And you can see the scale of the glyph compared to Terra there. They weren't messing around with these. They really did a wonderful job on them. I'm surprised they haven't been scrubbed out yet. And I think if the wrong people knew about them, they would be. And of course, now here's another interesting one. This is the raptor form, but if you look here, these look like some type of wing feature that go up and back, like wings off the back of what would look something like a raptor. Certainly not a bird again. And the reason I show that, I'll actually show you birds, and you can tell a bird in a heartbeat. And yeah, this is something I really wanted to show too. This is basalt, high olivine basalt. And you see these scratch marks? Something has been scraped off this rock in deep antiquity. So, well, that transient dreams, that's cool. You don't have to. But if you went out enough with me and saw hundreds of examples and put it all together, you might start to. So along with this is literally you can see and recover dinosaur bones within view of a lot of these glyph panels. And so it was either that people thousands of years ago at the time of mammoths knew how to put back together an ID dino bones, which if you ever found them in the ground, you cannot tell what they come from. You don't see a skeleton laying there, and you'd have to chip. It's unbelievable to recover. So either they put them back together or not. But what we find is they're actually in poses that, let's say in the 70s, they didn't believe that dinosaurs took that pose. And now they do. And here we find one of the glyphs represented that way. So they must have known, I mean, if we apply them to dinosaurs, but no other species fits. So this is actually a type of bird that used to exist. They was regarded in the Ice Age. We had a few very large birds. One was a 13-foot type of, like an ostrich, just heavier bodied. And we see those as well. But when they show a bird, they draw a bird. And there's really not any mistake. So you've got a bird down here in the panel, and you've got a bird up here in the panel. Now, these are a little bit different. This is what's called a thunderbird. This is not a normal bird. You can interpret the stuff any way you want to, but the swastika is the same meaning that swastika has actually all over the planet. And you have to go to ancient India if you want to get to the originals of this stuff, the Mahabharata and some of those, because they're the ones that explain to you what these things actually mean. And then everyone else lost that. They didn't have a scientific background. They didn't know how to express themselves. They knew, in a sense, the sense of it, its majesty or its weirdness or its technical aspect. So, and these are backed up by what's called a thunderbird, which is pointy fingers, pointy wings, more like a sharp bat-like type feature. And that's just how they're drawn. But they're also not birds. They're separate from what a bird is. So here you have a thunderbird. Here you have a bird. Now, some of the other stuff. So this is another drawing that's actually a technical drawing. Okay, so you can go look at field studies when they're working on 0-point devices and they're working on other magnetic field devices, and you can see the same diagram here, where field compression and the whole 9 yards. So they either somehow or another they just channeled it and got it right, or not. And then of course somebody shot this thing with a shotgun blast. So there's a lot of these type of things, but there's no normal, what you'd consider normal glyphs. Here's another. This is a bird, again, that does not exist anymore. It's an extinct form way back. And you can see here kind of its use. Now, my deal is, if with correct interpretation, we find these sites that other people miss often. We have hundreds of sites that no archaeologists ever laid their eyes on. And this one, unfortunately, is not like that, but no one's found this interpretation. But I would ask, if anyone thinks they know what animal that most looked like besides a large raptor, I'd like to hear about it, because I don't think we have anything on the planet running around that's that exact form. And science isn't our opinion. So if you take with the most reasonable explanation, now it's our opinion that people didn't live with dinosaurs. It's not an unreasonable expectation if you look at history and true history and what animals have survived to this day. The coelacanth and others that are hundreds of millions of years old, that they believe they were gone for that long, and here they are still messing around, totally unchanged. So anything else could have been 10,000 years ago. Now, just because someone's opinion says, well, no, that couldn't happen because that's the way I believe. Well, if you have something like this glyph, scientific principle says until you can find something else that's a better match, you have to then assume it could be a dinosaur and then work towards studying whether it is or not. And now when we have a bunch of other anatomically correct dinosaurs as well, with anatomically correct normal animals, it tells you something. So these are a little different. These are part of the migration. So this is about travel. But you have to notice this symbol with the center disc, and these are two wings, and this isn't the main one, but this is another one. These are two circles around the pole. You can actually find that and find renditions of that all over the planet in some of the most oldest locations on the earth. So here's another bird that's now extinct. Got a split tail. You can see it's a bird, no problem, right away. Wow, that's a bird. Even the big knob in the throat. And this isn't a turkey, so turkey doesn't have a knob in the throat here. They have a dwaddle that hangs down here. And the body of the bird. So these actually are known large species birds that we don't have in North America anymore. Now, this is another thing. So when it comes to interpretation of these sites, to decode a story in a site like this, you first have to have something to act as your UTM or your data point. You have to have something to go by to be able to read it. So this is what this circle of dots is, and it has some other glyphs here too. And the way this is used is this circle of stone is actually put in that circle, so it fits. It's not there now because it's not supposed to be. When an elder or a knowledge keeper would come here to tell this story, that stone would be replaced. And you can see it's dissimilar than everything else in the valley. It actually doesn't even come from here. It comes from another location, and it's cut to fit exactly inside that circle. And here again, you can see I'm going to show another animal that doesn't fit anything basically in the record that we have today, at least not in North America. And it's another basically large species of bird with just exotic tail feature. It doesn't look like a raptor to me, although it could be, with, like, you know, the long squiggly tail or whatever. And I know everybody has their own interpretation of stuff, but when you're successful at decoding areas and finding these spots. So now I'm going to reveal to you the scratches I showed you before where something was removed. This is who actually did it. Now this stuff here was done during the Pueblo Revolt era, probably by a priest when the natives were killing everybody. And this is a template. So these are what they call, or 4 mirrors, which is an ancient mining survey way. And they made templates based on that. And that's a way to map an area. And these scratches are not just happenstance. And like I said, this is basalt. You can take your knife all day on this. It'll just wear the blade down. You have to have extremely, extremely durable materials to be able to just cut into this material the way these are. But this is European. This isn't Native American. But they did go to this site and remark it because they cached things at this location. Now this is another one that's pretty interesting. So just like earlier I showed where we had a dome-shaped craft, just like this. This is a dome and it has 3 dots, okay, which is real common for this dome. So if you look at a lot of the UFO pictures and things like that, you'll see 3 spheres on the bottom of the craft. Okay, so that's an indicator of an energy form. Here we have 3 dots and we have a domed craft. Here we have the same domed craft, again, emitting a real squiggly cloud of energy coming down to what we see here as another raptor. Now these 2 different locations are over 200 miles apart. And I've basically shown you the same thing. So the same dome shape, same type of dispersed energy coming down and making contact with what looks like a raptor, not with like a bird. Even a roadrunner. Roadrunner doesn't have a tail like that. Roadrunner has a big spiky tail standing way up here like this. Big. Not like this. Not thick legs. Not like this. But it's a repeating theme that we see over and over, where we see something that appears to be a dinosaur and nothing else have a dome-shaped something emitting, or it looks to be emitting, something that's squiggly and crazy like lightning coming down and contacting them. And you know, who knows what's what, but when you have Native American legends saying similar things, that they had to defeat the monsters on the surface before they could occupy the ground. It doesn't matter what an archaeologist says, it matters what all the preponderance of the evidence says. So, and a lot of them actually do back up all this, so, and a lot of evidence too. So this is actually made again. This was made during the end of the colonial period. This is a church treasure, will be here, and it's you'll notice the cross is not the standard Christian cross or the Catholic cross. This is the older cross. So this goes to the Royal French bloodline stuff. So these were the Jesuit stuff down from the Templars, basically, that put these in. Some more just cool glyphs at the area. We'll just zip through them. Oh, there's my beauty. And again, here's another bird. This is the way, actually, if you map them out, this is exactly what the big 13-foot bird that would have been a terror on people that lived in this region. That's what it looked like. And they existed at the same time of mammoths, so there's no problem. So all this stuff would have been from that era. Then we've got, of course, the standard flute player. And see, the Cocopelli figure, you know, you can go a lot of places and find the flute player, but actually finding the Cocopelli is not too easy. This is another really odd glyph series. And so you've got another more raptor appearing animal. You have a big bird, and then you have that drawn with another animal that's a bovine, it almost looks like, and then another raptor. But they're showing you scale of everything. And these are ancient big birds, just like we have in the fossil record. For that time frame, we had massive, massive birds in the fossil record. And so we know that at the end of the Ice Age, there were birds about this big compared to a bovine. Well, then we also have these creatures. Now we compare them to bovine size. And we know of raptor species that were that same size that look just like that. And they don't have real long tails. Here's a real odd one. This doesn't look like a bird. Has the longer long bottom section without the clawed feet, exaggerated the way they always show a bird. Has a long neck, open beak top mouth, protrusion, and then, yeah, this arguably could be anything, but it appears almost to be like a man on its back, which again looks pretty strange at the same time. But you know, here you've got a man or this lizard. What else we got here? Another raptor form at the upper left. The star. Here's another rendition that shows, basically, this is a small copy apparently. So this would be a man, and if you took the man at, let's say, 5'5", and put him here, like this guy, this would be a 13-foot bird, just like a big ostrich. Those are the same birds that were around during the Ice Age here in North America, and they're showing them to us on a glyph. The point being is, if they're going to show us all of these animals that we have in the fossil record that we know, and say they saw them, and we go, oh, well, we believe that, because sure, the guys were there, they saw them, they killed mammoths, blah, blah, blah. But the moment they show us a picture like this, and it matches a raptor, oh, that's not a raptor, it can't be, it can't exist, whatever. Well, why? You know, there's been artifacts pulled with dinosaur remains. The only reason they're not logged, only reason, is because they don't believe they could be real. And so you see a lot of this stuff in all actuality. So we've got here, let's see what we've got here. So we've got a dinosaur pictogroup, Harvard expedition. So this is, let's see what we got here. So by these guys right here, this is part of an expedition itinerary that was by Harvard. And I don't think, let's see, October 1924, curator Samuel Hubbard, curator of archaeology, the Oakland Museum. They went Havasupai Canyon, northern Arizona, to search for evidence of prehistoric man. I visited there before. These guys, they described what they found what they described as wall pictures scratched long ago depicting local fauna. The most spectacular of these was one of a dinosaur identified by them as Diplodocus standing upright. So I don't have a picture of that, but like I said, we can get some of this information up. There's a lot of information that comes from out of Harvard 1924. And this is what they came up with. So it's not just my interpretation. It says, on the same wall with a dinosaur pictograph, and about 16 feet from it, we found a pictograph representing an animal which evidently for an elephant attacking a large man. This elephant is striking the man on top of the head with his trunk. Okay, so we see, again, animals, would it be a mastodon or mammoth? We see animals that we know existed, and then here they are talking about a dinosaur on the same wall. Now, this is from Harvard 1924. Now, just because we're not being told about this, doesn't mean it didn't occur. And you have to go do the scientific investigation and research yourself. So you got to go investigate areas, look at the glyphs, and then go do the research to find out about it. Now, there's enough information there. You know, that was Samuel Hubbard, curator of archaeology at the Oakland Museum, Charles W. Gilmore, curator of vertebrate paleontology at the United States National Museum, and funded by the Oil Magnete, about to be discredited. E.L. Dahoney went to Havasupai Canyon. So it gives you the names here of these people. I'm sure that this could be followed up in a heartbeat. So it says here on part of the plateau. So this is all about the same thing. Because there are no tusks indicated, surmise that it's a cow elephant 24-inch pictograph actually depicts the manner in which the scholars believe that the man hunted the mammoth, an ambush at a waterhole. And in southern Arizona, there are several sites which the man and mammoth remain together in an obvious hunting format, with butchering marks on the mammoth bones. Well, that happened at the Blackwater Draw site just outside Portales, New Mexico. So again, it says, in addition, on part of the plateau above the canyon floor was found an ancient megalithic fortress. Now, it's interesting because I go through and start showing you megalithic monuments that lead to things. We've dug up, we've excavated, and we've recovered things and everything else at the end of these monuments. We've proved them thousands of times now over the last 30 years. And these megaliths are always adjacent to glyph panels that are eons old, depicting ancient animals that are 8,000, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000 years old. And these are with the megaliths. And then we look at Göbekli Tepe and we say, oh, wow, it's 9,000, it's 10,000. Well, sure it is. And you should have seen what else they were building worldwide. And this is where we're going here. Science and the same people that interpret all this, they say that Göbekli Tepe couldn't have existed. I mean, before they plopped it off. And depending who would have found that, we may never have ever heard about it. And that site had actually been overdone with archaeology already. They had already done a large study on that area. And then when we have these glyphs like this of this guy, it speaks for itself. I mean, somebody has to come up with a better theory. They're showing every creature here existed 10,000, 12,000 years ago. Not now. And then we're seeing something from prehistoric times. Obviously, people don't want to say, oh well, it's not prehistoric that recent. Well, it's just the natives talk about them, they draw them. We have found, and I may even have pictures, so I could maybe take a look. We have found dinosaurs that still had components of the nerves, the blood vessels, the glands, skin, all that. And that went to Joe Taylor in Mount Blanco, Texas, at Blanco Fossil Museum. Very famous man, Joe Taylor. And he actually got our collection of that stuff. We also pulled mummified fish. And like Alan Grafham said in Tucson, when he looked at him, he said, and those are probably somewhere too here, he said that, those aren't fossils. He said those are mummified fish. And the stratus 380 million years old. It's called the Chinle Formation. Now, how is that stuff, coming up? I'm going to look here and see. It's just Triassic globes. So during the Triassic period, though, is what we're talking about. And we've got, we're finding a Recodonts or Thecodonts and these big crocodiles. And they're in mud, basically, where they were cooked in mud. And the animal's still there. The blood vessels still have the color of blood vessels. The whole 9 yards. I'm looking through right now to see if the archive just has any of the photos of that stuff just real handy. We have a lot of things put away in other hard drives. But yeah, so we've actually been able to pull these things in the past and show them. Here you go. Here's a fish. It has meat and scales from 380 million years ago. So what's wrong? You got to think that they can't carbon date 380 million years ago. You can't do that. So, and it's because you can't keep consistent conditions. So two things that mess up carbon dating is heat and radiation. Big solar flare, plenty of radiation to mess it up. Lots of heat, no problem. So it offs everything. So depending on the events that actually fossilize the dinosaurs themselves, which you'd have to know that in order to predict anything. And that's what they've got to do. Now, when you got trees standing through 200 and 300 million years of sediment. Now they've got these things where you have a tree standing, and they'll tell you it's 300 million years spread between the bottom of the tree and the top of the tree, and yet it's standing erect through all those layers. Now, did that tree stand there for 300 million years while it was buried? No. Something's wrong. I mean, just plain and simple. The dating is convenient, but we're looking at dating stuff that are 200 years old, that 100 years old in most cases, up to 200 years old, that people are saying, this is the way it is, and it's not going to change. It's never going to change. You can't revise this information. No matter how many new finds you apply to it, you can't revise this information. Well, if you can't revise the information, then how are we ever going to advance in understanding? You can't tell me that they had everything figured out 100 years ago. And I'm going to show you, if I can find it, I'm going to show you a skull now that was, let's see, not sure if it's in this file, that was actually found underground, 600 feet deep. I should have it here somewhere, with a bunch of very controversial artifacts. And sorry about the time here. And this isn't supposed to exist. I mean, here, this is a skull that's found. It's still a bone skull. This is not a fossil. And let's see if we've got the pictures of it in this hard drive. If not, I can probably I could actually tell you guys where to go find it too. It's in the Crater Exploration Facebook site, the group itself. We posted these things a while back and really got a lot of attention on them. NAPT, that's not it. Like I said, I got 2 terabytes here. I'm blapping out. But the anyway, we posted in there, and it's a bunch of finds of basically alien artifacts, and they found them beneath an ancient pyramid in Jalisco, Mexico. And oh, it should have been. Oh, here we go. I'll bet you I've got them right here. And so these are the type of artifacts, and these are the real deal. I'm going to show them to you right now because it all goes together. So it all goes together. So this is real, and I actually own 2 of these pieces, and they were dated by Arizona State University to be 9,700 years old. Now, what's interesting is around the same time as the glyphs we're seeing up here, similar people on them, similar build and construction and monumentation. This is actually at the site where they found these things, and it's like a big alien-looking skull. 600 feet below all this are tunnels, and inside of these tunnels is where these things are found. Now, like I said, similar stuff to here. Same glyphs, same time period that we dated, show these reptoid-looking alien guys that we have jasper sculptures of that are dated to 9,700 by Arizona State University. Here's a dinosaur skull, and it's a sauropod. Let me see if we can get back to it. So, and it was found 600 feet down in this cave. It is not a fossil. This is a skull. You're not supposed to have a duckbill animal or a sauropod skull. So where in the world did this come from? These guys have this. This is found down there. It's a real thing. These are actually archaeologists in Mexico that pulled this stuff. And the government has gone in and taken most of it away, but this is the real deal. And like I said, nobody's seen any of this. And you have the same type of characters, alien-headed characters, as you do on the pieces themselves. And here's the man that was the original finder. Of course, this is, when we look at what they were talking about, he sent this to me. These are basically the same thing between India, Greece, Turkey, Egypt, Cambodia, Peru, Japan, Bolivia, Etruscan, Scythian, Summer, Mexico. These people had the whole world, and this is thousands of years ago. As well, we see this is one of the original from Mexico, 9,700 to 11,400 years old on the far right. And then here's all the renditions. Okay, and these are going to go through all the medieval periods and older. Now, where's this? This is Pumapunku. So Bolivia. See, so even predates all known history right here, and it goes up. Well, this is how it started. It didn't start like this. This is the later stuff. This is how it started. Pure jasper, beautiful, beautiful cut pieces. So here's some of the actual, this is some of the University of Arizona AMS laboratory. This is the radiocarbon analytical report of a bit of adhesive that was below in part of where they've laminated some materials with the stone. So they've done some inlay work. And here you go. This is part of that paperwork. So it's no joke. This is real. You're actually seeing the scientific data behind alien artifacts found with a dinosaur skull. Okay. And they date to 9,700 to 11,400 years. Now you know why I'll look at the glyphs that we find that are associated with the same entities, these little reptoid guys, okay, that show dinosaurs. Because this is not a joke. This is an interpretation. These are actually artifacts that came from that same period that are showing the same creatures and things that are not supposed to exist. And if there's any doubt what you're looking at here, if you just take a good look, I mean, you got a little alien guy inside of what appears to be a craft. And something a lot of people don't realize is this is a square wave. Okay, you have sine wave and you have square wave. You have the two different waveforms almost always in all these things. Glyphs too, anything that supposedly is flying basically. And that's just a drop in the hat. You know, the Aztlan, the other pictures of some of this stuff, I'll just go ahead and break out. These are all the real stuff. There's a ton of fakes going on after these were found. 1 million people started trying to fake them. Okay, so this is the real deal. These are the guys who are really doing the deal right here and making the finds. This is the real deal here. And when we take a microscope and we can go look at some of these lines that haven't degraded, there's no microchipping. So, and this is jasper. And how they cut these lines, God only knows. And we still haven't figured it out. A diamond still wants to make it chip. So here are the guys that are in a cave doing the excavation. And you can see it was all backfilled in dirt. Most of these caves were almost completely backfilled. And they went in until they got into shafts and they dropped over 600 foot. I think the deepest stuff that they dropped rope was 1,200. And they were going to have us come in and try to help them on this stuff. And so here you go again. These are rock cut tunnels. And these predate everybody. So you're looking at, what, 11,400-year-old rock-cut tunnels. Who was cutting tunnels? Again, the same symbolism. And I could probably zoom in a little here. So I'll just show you. The lines look like they're drawn with an ink pen. There's no microchipping on the edges. I mean, it's like it was effortless. And this is jasper. And you can't imagine that unless you've actually tried to work stone. But jasper destroys tools. It's like agate. It's almost impossible to work without high-speed tools and oil. Here's some more pictures of that skull. And this is not little. This is big. I mean, this is, I forget, I think it's 28 inches tall or 30 inches tall, something like that. It's big. It's not a little guy there. So now we have some other ones of that skull too. Let's see here. Okay, let's go back to this one. Okay, so that's the one picture. Now here's some more pictures of the tunnels. This is at the deep level. So down here is where this is where the skull and stuff came from. And there's another picture next to a masoned wall. So this is a sealed wall behind it. And you can see it's kind of cockeyed in this photo before they picked it up. Here's another monolith out front of one of the tomb sites. Indicating a standing individual. One of those actually smaller artifacts. This is a pyramidal feature in the valley that the shaman said was a sacred pyramid. Here is the actual museum of the guys who found this stuff in Jalisco. So this was their museum, and that the Mexican government, along with other authorities, came in and removed everything. And here's an earring and an earpiece. Goes in a pierced ear of an alien head. I think that one's made out of opal. Another picture down in the caves. These are all out of sequence, but that's okay. Another picture of the dinosaur head before it was removed. So there's a guy's shoe here. You can see. Here's the shoe, and here it is. And this wasn't, the creature didn't get there. This is in a room full of ancient artifacts. And these are actually paintings that are found inside some of the chambers. Now, I own these, so let me zip them around here. So these are mine. They sent them to me to have independent testing done, and this comes out of the group that was tested to be 9,700 years old. So this is the same pose as the guy at Chichen Itza at the sacrificial altar, who's sitting and looking sideways, and you'll see he's laying on his back with the sacrificial bull. But that's not a human heart, and this predates all of that. So this isn't a human heart. This is a lump of turquoise, and it's funny because this turquoise, its most likely location of origin, I was told, is up here in North America in the Southwest, in some of the same regions that we're finding the glyphs that depict these guys with the mammoths and with the dinosaurs, while they have a dinosaur skull in the other deal. So do you see how the correlation, it's hard not to come to these conclusions once you've been involved at these levels in this stuff. So, but anyway, sweet. What time are we getting on? 12:16. Okay. We could probably throw out a few more here. I'm going to show you a couple others. So these again are authentic. And then I can show you some fakes too, because I've actually got to look at a bunch. But these are authentic. And what we're going to see here is he's carrying something that looks like a technological craft. And you're going to notice it's a triangular shape and it's domed. Matter of fact, they show a lot of the same ones we see on the glyphs are featured in these. And what you show on the bottom right here is a plaque to be worn around the neck. And these also date to that old. And here's a being, not human, in the front. And in the center section is the same type of craft that the top guy's holding, like it's in a bay. Like this is a bigger ship with a tiny ship inside of a bay. Here's another saucer-shaped craft with what looks like some type of a field coil set that's being tilted and moved around the top. And then you have, again, the square wave indicator around the apron. And I would say, you know, well, these could be anything, but they really can't because they've been authenticated. They've been dated. It doesn't matter what anyone wants to tell you on TV. These are just the way it is. This is a fake. Okay, so you can see instantly the chipping on the lines and the other stuff about it. They wiped it in dirt. It is carved of stone, but, you know, this is done with basically modern tools and made to look old. Same thing as this one. And it's real easy. It's super easy to tell immediately because you can't work this rock. And this isn't even as hard as jasper. But you can't work this without these little microchips on all the lines. And these deviations and things, because that's how rock comes out when you attack it. You have the tool. We don't even know what tool they used to make the other ones. And then here's an associated glyph. And you can interpret these any way you want. And one way you could do that is from one area through a spiral to another area through a spiral, okay, which could potentially be wormholes, since we draw a wormhole in a funnel shape, and this is the one-dimensional way that the natives drew the funnel shape, which is water going down or up or whatever. And so that certainly could be interpreted based on what we're seeing as wormhole transportation. Here we go again, same triangular craft. Now, this is a picture I took here in the Southwest, and see this triangular craft here with this design, and you see these two little deals on the side? Watch this. Now, why would when I took a picture in the Southwest, why in the world would it be a literal exact duplicate of this guy right here? And I mean an exact duplicate. There's your two things. There's your inner triangle. There's your outer triangle. This is found in a cave hundreds of feet deep in Mexico. And I take this picture at the same location I showed you the dinosaur glyphs. That's exactly where this came from. Believe it or not. So did that one. So the association between the Southwest, where we are, the glyphs we're seeing, the whole 9 yards, right to the dinosaurs they're supposedly drawing, okay, that these guys have the same things. We're seeing the same type of species, the sauropod or raptor, in these sites. Now, this one also should show a couple Parasaurolophus as well, that I'm not sure, it should be here, that are at that site that I didn't show you. They're pretty dramatic. Oh, kitty, you can't come over here now. Come on, good girl. We'd have to dig those back up. Okay. Well, I guess you know what? I think we're gonna get ready to call this live stream. I don't know who's still with us here. Great, we got quite a few people. So you know, you guys can you can actually go farther and see more of the same things I'm kind of showing you if you do a little bit of search and then have a little bit of open mind. And I think also I'm looking to see if I also have another file here just of dinosaurs and Mandibular like finds. I know this is one this is another carved one from down there in Mexico that depicts a known species of dinosaur with the plated armor on his back and the type of bony tail. I can't remember the name of that species. I actually probably have a picture of that around here too. And then of course you have the same thing as these stones, which have never been proven to have been faked. Matter of fact, there's over 11,000 of them. If anybody tried to fake them, they would have taken half a lifetime to do it, because this is extremely hard rock. And these are found in South America as well. So you just, how much does it take, you know, that you're tying this stuff together, you know? And it doesn't take a rocket scientist or even a far push to put these things in the same basket. It just doesn't, because they readily fit together once you start looking at the evidence. And I wouldn't say that if I hadn't gone out and found the evidence myself. And it just works that way, you know. These are things that are going to have to be taken into consideration at some point or another. You know, the youngest pterodactyl bone ever discovered, but it's controversial, no one can believe it, is like 70 to 100, about 100 years old now. It was 70 years old when I heard about it, in Africa. And, uh-oh, cat's getting crazy. No, cat, come here. And that was found in a rock outcrop, like I said, in a cave in Africa, and then it was buried, and then it disappeared. But the first people who studied it all came to the same conclusion. It's not that knowing that would jeopardize anything to keep it so secret, but what it does is we start to then ask more questions. That any type of scientific discovery that we probably haven't revised in the last, you know, that was done 200 or 400 years ago, that we haven't revised and we're still using it, is a little odd, because almost our understanding of everything in our reality has changed and altered, and that as well has altered the way we perceive everything we've had a chance to look at, and all these things need to be reevaluated, because, you know, in many countries they don't have any problem with this history. Only in the European countries, or the Europeanized countries, I should say. So when we look at America and Europe and a lot of the other places like that, but if you go into Russia, they take it serious, and they're not stupid. They're right there with us. If you go into Malaysia, they take it serious. Why? Because they look at things in a matter-of-fact way, not with their ego and opinion and what should be or what might not be. They don't care about that. They're just thinking, here's the way it is. You know, they don't come from a world like most of the Europeanized or Americanized people come from, which that's basically a world of here's what should be, and if it shouldn't be, then it doesn't exist, which is ridiculous. You know, I've had people that, let's say they believe in one thing, but they won't believe in another, and they're just as likely or just as unlikely. But it's based on their personal perception. They'll sit and say, oh yeah, there's Bigfoot, but no, there hell no, dinosaurs couldn't have walked with people. Well, I've got just as much evidence of Bigfoot as dinosaurs walking with people, and vice versa. Basically, I don't have any genetic material from that, but I certainly have, you know, others. Matter of fact, I even have a picture of a glyph, a painting. Actually, it's a little more special than a glyph. I'm looking for it real quick before we go, and it's of one of these little three-fingered reptoid alien-looking guys, and a Bigfoot, and a shaman, all in the same panel. All this ties together. It's the same characters, and right now I'm actually surfing through, kind of taking a look for it. I say, man, it's just, there's so, my gosh, there's so much here that it's can be very, very difficult just to go through and try to pull it. Should have been right here, actually. That is not it. And this one, actually, a buddy of ours, Taylor, so I'd helped these guys learn how to follow these monuments and the lines, and he went off about his way and kept doing it, and ended up getting into a small cave that had this sacred painting in it of a shaman with a meeting an alien, basically, or a reptoid, whatever they are. It might be from inside the planet, and Bigfoot on the mountain kind of overlooking it and overreacting from it. Oh yeah, here we go. This is something I just showed you. So remember I showed you this picture of one of the Mexican artifacts that is likely to depict a dinosaur, and this is the species that it's likely to be depicting. So it's almost the identical same form, just doesn't have the legs. And I've also seen a table that came out of one of these places that was, or it's a leaning bench or laying bench or something that came out of one of these caves that was the same thing. Looks just like the dinosaur. I mean, so a lot of these are from my personal collection stuff. I'm showing you some of this stuff you can't find in anybody else's photos. This is the first time it's ever been seen publicly, ever. So, I'm just having a hard time finding that stuff that Taylor got together. I'm not sure which file. We have a lot of, so many that are filed in different manners that. And I've got to pop all this stuff out eventually because, just people have to know, plain and simple. So people really just have to know. There's a real history going on, and you'll see, just stay with us and I'll keep laying stuff out like this forever, and most of it nobody's ever seen before. So, and it's going to really back up probably a lot of other people's private research. It just will. Because they've been looking on their own and they've got available to them what's available. And then here we are sitting in the background with things that are not available. And, it's like the information on monuments and things like that. I'm not getting this out of other people's books. It's like this photo I'm about to show you. This is our work. This is my work. This didn't come from other people. This came from 30-something years of private research on how to decode these ancient sites. And Spain ended up using a lot of this stuff. The Jesuits did, and the Knights Templar, going back a little farther, they used it, and others used it. But this stuff has been around for 8,000 or 10,000 years old. And it's a way of communicating in stone. It's like the Flintstones, road signs. And once you learn how to decipher their code, you can find a million things. So, and these are all in my personal notebook. And you guys will probably want to jump back through this and go crazy, whatever. But this is how you read it. This is what all this stuff means. And this isn't interpretation. This is what I've used in the field for 30 years to find things like this, which is about 70,000 pounds of gold sitting in a room. Things like that. Monuments don't lead you to things that you can find if the monuments are bull. Let's see if I can do a little trick here and pull that one pictures out before I should have been under his name. Let's see here, folders. So we'll see here. Yeah, so here it is. Actually, I'm gonna show you this glyph, and I'll show you something else that's really weird too. So at the site where this glyph panel is, of this shaman meeting an alien, blah blah blah. I've got a cat going crazy behind me. Hope you guys can't hear that. Is a metal smelter. So it's an old type of small smelter for doing small amounts of metal, but it's located, I think this is it, let me look. But it's located inside of a wall. No, that's not what this is. Inside of a wall at this cavity, near this cavity. And this is a common thing. I mean, this is known. You can go find this. But you can see here, see the red that's here? That's from extreme heat. Not a little bit of heat, a lot of heat, like thousands of degrees, or at least over 1,000. And then you have this little cup here with a rounded portion and then a little dip out. Well, this is, if you were going to melt a heavy metal out of a rock mass, this is how you do it. So this is a metals smelter, okay? And this is thousands of years old. This is not some new thing. And the glyphs associated with it, I'll show you the panel right now, excuse me. So this is part of the panel. This is actually the Bigfoot sitting on the hill looking down on the scene that's going on below him. And the scene that's going on below him is a Native American shaman with a feathered standard and a star shield and a bird on his arm. Okay, this is a magic man, is meeting an alien. Three-toed, three-fingered, same quintessential alien. 3 toes, 3 fingers, same as I showed you before. Okay, this is your shaman. He's in a mask. He has his bird. He has his star shield, and he has his feather standard, and he has feathers. All these are known things that Native American shaman had. And here you have an alien with what appears to be a lightning bolt over his head, and he's coming out of what looks like to be a crack. Now, this is all on the same glyph panel as the Bigfoot overlooking at a location that was found by following the monuments, okay, and near a metal smelter at the same, you see what I'm saying? It all runs together. These are advanced peoples. Here's your alien, here's your human, and here's your Bigfoot. Now I want you to look at scale. See, they're in scale. This is your person. This is your Bigfoot. He's twice his size. This is your alien. He's half his size. Everybody's on this wall in scale. Now, this has been shown a few times, but never just to the raw public. So this is the first time it's ever going to be like out on YouTube or any of that kind of stuff. And here's where the feature is. This is a large monumented set. Now, you could say, oh, well, that's natural. Well, sure, could be. But here we go again. Same type of monuments in Mexico. Same type of three-toed, three-fingered reptoid-looking beings. Same type of depiction of so much. And then we have metals smelting in here. And then we have advanced alien artifacts down there. Same. So no matter how you look at it, there's too many correlations. It's astronomical to think that these things aren't readily connected to one another, basically. So, but anyway, I think we're going to zip off and close it at this point. I appreciate you guys sticking with us for the night. We're going to try to keep these things around 2 hours long. And like I said, we'll be fixing all the problems more and more and more. As time goes over, we're going to get this better and better. It's just me. I bust my ass all day, and I spend a lot of time doing technical development of our devices and our technology that we've put together. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind showing little deal here. So this is actually a quick little deal I put together. This is the device that I designed and built. So that's the KXPD3. So, but I'm always doing, R&D, and I'm doing tons of research, and we're also trying to move into a house right now. But I guarantee you, I'm hard on all of this. We don't slack off of this stuff. And I'll be bringing more and more and more to the table, and it'll be higher and higher quality. And I just ask that you stick with us. And please, above everything else, even if you don't agree with what you saw, I don't mind. If you can just tell people about it and share. If you go look at our stats, YouTube took us from, 20, 30, 45,000 and more views on a lot of our stuff down to 400. Continually removing our subscribers. We are fighting a battle, and that wouldn't be happening unless something we're showing you is bugging somebody. And if it didn't have validity, it wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't be threatening to anybody. It's that it's valid, and that we have so much that it scares the powers that be of what we can lay out to you. Everything I've ever shown is not even 1,000th, and I mean ever shown the public, which is a lot, isn't even 1,000th of what we have and what we're going to roll out with. So what I'd ask you to do is please, above all in the world, tell people, do something to get the word out so that as we show this, people are going to see it. And other pros with all the attention aren't going to get to pick it up, interpret it, and then show it to you, which is happening left and right. You wouldn't believe how many of the bigwigs are out there spewing our material, and you don't know it because you've never seen our material, and you think it's theirs. And this is going on in Bigfoot big time. So let me jump back through here in the over on the live chat real quick before we close down, and I'm going to see what everybody has to say, try to get everybody addressed. Oh boy, you guys have been busy, have you not been? Thank you very much. This is unbelievable. Well, there's a lot of opinions, and I respect all of them, but it's experience. And if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's most likely a duck. I stick to scientific principle. It means I do not throw things out based on others' interpretation or opinion, which means that the preponderance of the evidence is what gets the swing, period. So I appreciate it, everybody. Thanks, Bill. Great education. I appreciate that. This isn't my opinion. I'm not coming. I want to share reality with you guys, and it's a reality that's been proven in a lot of ways and discovered and self-evident. So, World Bigfoot Radio. I know. Wow, and I should be dealing with you more. I've been super slam, bro. I really apologize that I haven't been more on that. I'm looking forward to getting together with you guys and doing that, and we're getting more and more ready. So when is a good time to call me? I'd have to actually, you need to hit me on Facebook and get my new number. I haven't had a phone actually working until like day before yesterday. So I had everything was smashed last month, and I've been trying to transfer it over. Had to get a new number. So hit me up, write me or whatever, and we'll get together. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Magdalene. That's great. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're trying to do our best. Like I say, we're about to show you a hell of a lot more. I mean, how do you lay 2 terabytes out on YouTube, as files? Oh, you're not on Facebook, World Bigfoot Radio. Okay, I'm going to write you my email. Anybody in the world can go ahead and write me on this. Get it. It's coming up right now. Okay, let me verify that real quick. Okay, there you go. So there's my email. You guys just beam me right there. Oh, they banned you 3 years ago? Too truthy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why we put out truth in a measured amount, man, because if not, I already know. I mean, it's like today. And I just showed you guys getting shot at 20, what Bill said, 19 rounds, and one of them missed me by a foot, my head. I mean, this isn't play. We do this all the time, and we are up against all of it. We're up against not just like everybody's got YouTube bugging them that's got something real. No, man. I mean, we go out. We've got vehicles following us, military aircraft. I've been nuked, lost half the hair on my head. I've been put through a lot of stuff doing this type of research, and we're not going to stop. So, but yeah, I'll definitely get on your show, brother. Go ahead and write my email, and we're going to wrap this. God, I appreciate it. You guys are still hanging out. It's been great. Awesome. Love every single one of you. To me, it just feels like a big family. And what you guys feel like, you're coming to my pad, hanging out, and I'm just going to show you stuff. Hopefully we can get this even better, and maybe get another person or two on here with me or something like that, so I can get in with with more of the chat and get back and forth with you guys, because it's your opinion, it's what you want to see, it's how you can ingest the information. Is what's most important to me, is getting this out there, getting it to the people. So because what it does is it changes the whole paradigm. It changes everything. When you change a person's point of view, they need on one aspect, then they have to measure everything else they know. Everything else they know, they have to measure that stuff against everything else they experienced from that point forward, and everything that they had known in the past, and that changes their perspective. So as every little addition that goes in that's got some validity, it's going to begin to wake people up to a different reality. I mean, this world is not fully explored. We have not found everything by a long shot. And I can demonstrate that any day. I mean, blow a person's mind. You show them how much just abandoned country there really is out there that nobody has been on. No archaeologist, no state employee, nobody else has even touched, maybe in 1,000 or 2,000 years. There are millions of acres like that in some of the most rugged country there is. And we're finding stuff out there that's unbelievable. We're just barely touching the surface. So, okay, we're gone. Ride with me, you guys. It's been awesome. I'm going to cut this and have a wonderful evening. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Please share the word. Come what you can. Make sure you stay subscribed. They don't remove you. And I'll see you on the next one.